fixture between 68 FC and NWS Spirit. The lineups for this afternoon: for NWS Spirit, number 1, Christopher Marquez; number 3, Kyle Williams; 4, Brody Smith; 6, Corey Kavanagh; 7, Frankie Juchovic; 8, Grant Cornwall; 9, Hugh Okuro; 10, Michael Conestabo; 13, Simon Nicholas; 21, Harry Keys; 22, Takumi Ofuka. On the bench this afternoon for the visitors are number 5, Jordan Perez; 11, Ollie Wigan; 18, Andre Takami; 19, Zane Aluwala; 20, Austin Oates; and number 51, Christopher Chen. For the home side this afternoon, we welcome number 3, Bailey Rule; number 4 and captain, Adrian Vlastelica; number 5, Anthony Tomilich; number 10, Carlos de Oliveira; 11, Matthew Hatch; 17, Michael Glasick; 19, Aidan Milicevic; 21, and coming back in the red, white and blue for the first time in 12 years, Vedran Janjetovic; number 23, Mason Wells; 32, Leroy Jennings; and number 37, Luke Juvella. On the bench this afternoon are number 6, Thomas Mako; 8, Mario Chabot; 13, Alessandro Lacalandra; 14, Liam McGinn; 20, Adrian James Buzina; and number 22, Stefan de Robillard.
A very happy Sunday afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Adenza Park and the Sydney United Sports Centre. A fixture with plenty of recent history. Sydney United 58 hosting Spirit FC in round 21 of the NPL New South Wales men's competition. Alex Molchanoff, delighted to be along with you this afternoon on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. And for the hosts, a bounce back needed today ahead of a very important stretch in their season. The shock 3-1 loss to bottom of the table Mariners at Plume Park last weekend leaves them dangling dangerously close to dropping out of the top six. That fear can be arrested here, though, against an opponent in Spirit that haven't managed a win at this ground in their 3 visits. But this is a new and improved Spirit side looking to keep themselves in the premiership picture. A win here should keep the gap to Rockdale on top to 6 points, but could even close to 3 if their result against Sutherland this afternoon goes Spirit's way. A big task for the visitors here regardless. Shy of a premiership push, they want to hang on to a home final come September. And 3 points here would take them some way to locking in that top 4 spot. Let's have a look at the changes. A couple for Ante Juric off the back of that 3-1 loss last weekend. One of them in force with Josip Orlovic suspended 4 matches for his late red card. So in comes club legend Vedran Janjetovic, returning for the first time in more than a decade and straight into net. In front of him, Bailey Rule starting at right back with Michael Glasic and Adrian Vlastelica retaining their places in the centre of defence. Matt Hatch is at left back. A midfield 3 of Tomalic, Milicevic and De Oliveira. Mason Wells and Leroy Jennings expected to be flanking Luke Zuvella, who makes a first start since round 7's derby against Marconi. For Spirit, just the one change after their late 1-0 winner came from Frankie Lucevic against the Western Sydney Wanderers a week ago. Chris Marks resumes in goal with Greg Cornwall, Kaya Williams and Brady Smith in front of him. Harrison Keys is the lone change after being spoken about so highly by David Perkovic during the week. He comes in for Zayn Alawalia, Simon Nicholas at left wing back with Frankie Lucevic and Corey Kavanagh through the middle. Takumi Afuka and Michael Contestabo supporting Yu Akubo once again. So all in readiness. A little bit of atmosphere just filtering out of the ground with the loss of the FIFA anthem. There's always a comforting sound coming out here to the Sydney United Sports Centre in Sydney's southwest. It's got a short delay here. Nathan Shakespeare, our referee, has got hold of the football. All is ready for Spirits to kick us off. This will just give both clubs an idea of what they need to pull off today. Finals implications on both sides. Spirit looking to lock up their first round finals fixture, I should say, in week 1 or week 2. Sydney United hoping to sneak up into those positions as well as increase their buffer to Sydney Olympic, which sits at 4 points coming into the afternoon. Could sit as high as 7 by the end of the 90 minutes. So it's 4th place Spirit against 6th place United, and we are underway. What a gorgeous Sunday afternoon. Perfect weather for football. What a cloud in the sky, really. Glorious sunshine bathing the Adenza Park surface. Another game in action very close to this ground as Tomalic leaves one in on Michael Contestabo, who thankfully saw it coming. But Nathan Shakespeare says we won't be having too many more challenges like that before I pull my cards out. Nowhere near the ball. It's not something you see too often from Tomalic. Usually fairly considered. Leaves the really brutal stuff to the guys behind him. Caught a little cold Sydney United last weekend by the Mariners' quick start to make sure that they don't fall into the same trap. Just saw Vedran Janjetovic with a ball at his feet. Last played for this football club back in 2013. 12 years later, he returns as a 160-game veteran of the A-League men's. His last club was actually the Wollongong Wolves, where he was playing under David Carney a couple of seasons ago. Struggled with some rotator cuff injuries over the past couple of seasons. Important for a goalkeeper, of course, but he's found his way back to fitness again. And he's been called in at a crucial time for Sydney United, missing the two players who have done most of the goalkeeping for them this season. Tristan Prendergast out through injury. Josip Orlovic, as we brought you pre-game, through suspension for the next month. That will include the Waratah Cup final coming up in midweek against the Northern Tigers. More details on that fixture as we go through the afternoon. Flastelitzer playing that one forward towards Mason Wells, who puts enough pressure on Simon Nicholas for the Spirit wing-back just to belt the ball out of play. This is going to be the first time in 4 seasons that Spirit and Sydney United have not played each other 3 times over the course of a season. The cup draw has brought them together the last 3 seasons. I say the cup draw. They met in the final back in 2022. Spirit got their revenge a year later at this ground. They qualified for the round of 32, as they've done again this season. Coincidentally, missed that draw on Wednesday. They've drawn their Waratah Cup final opponents, the Northern Tigers, in the national rounds of the Cup competition as well. It's going to lead to an interesting narrative over those 2 games, but United will feel it's fallen in their favour in terms of advancing and claiming silverware. If they're able to claim the Waratah Cup on Wednesday nights, they will become the standalone leaders in having claimed that competition, stretching them ahead of Alcoa Sydney City. Piece of history on the line, and they know they've got to find some form today. Patrick Antelmi not in the squad. The other signing mentioned, Vedran Janjetovic, another big signing announced by Sydney United, is their former junior, Adrian Knez, finding his way back to the club. Giving them a little boost in the attacking stocks. They do have so much depth in that area already, though. Mario Chabau in reserve again today for Ante Juric, should he be required. Richie Darko's barely been sighted after signing from Spirit FC for Sydney United in the off-season. Such has been the form of their youngsters and players that have come into the team. It was a surprising dip last weekend for United because their form before that had almost been faultless. Won 8 of their last 10, including that game. So that record was 8 of their last 9 heading into that one. We mentioned in the pre-game as well, Spirit are going to have to undo their short history at this ground. 3 visits, no wins. They have managed to claim a draw here back in 2023. Came from behind twice that day. Hoping to start on the front foot here this afternoon. Ball only half cleared, and Akubo sticking out an arm to try and control that. Shares a wry smile with referee Shakespeare. Being talked about an increasing amount as well as it draws closer. Final series comes September, but October brings the inaugural Australian Championship to Adenza Park. Sydney United have had their name up in lights recently on the national stage, making the Australia Cup final in 2022, almost ever presence in the national rounds of the Australia Cup. They've qualified for that stage more than any other team from New South Wales. Ante Juric has been building this side over the course of the season. They were slow out of the blocks, but the form has turned a corner over the last couple of months. Goals flowing more freely. There's an added sense of stability at the back. It's going to be a test for Spirit to try and play through them. It's going to be interesting to see as well today which team is able to dominate possession, because both are more comfortable with the ball at their feet than having to play in transition, which is somewhat of a rarity across this competition. The teams that have done all the damage over the last season or so, Rockdale and Marconi, both much more comfortable getting at their teams in at their opposition in counter-attack. These two going against the grain and pushing up the table, even though that is the case. Here's a chance for Zuvela. His first touch betraying him there. He's got his first chance to turn. He's filling some big boots today. Antelmi's fitness has been a concern for Sydney United fans across the course of the season. He's blunted his goal return somewhat, just 5 strikes this season. It's been a while since he hasn't notched up double figures over a league season. It's looking like that might not be the case this year. Mason Wells actually the top scorer. It's been a bright light this season after returning to the club midway through 2024 from Bulls Academy, as Jennings tries to basically play a mirror of Wells there, cutting onto his right foot rather than his left, firing away. Never had Marks too worried in the Spirit net. It's been good for Leroy Jennings to get a run of form together in this team. Just not been able to consistently get himself on the park since signing with Sydney United. So many injury issues. Has scored in a Waratah Cup final for them, though. So it's not all been doom and gloom, but much happier as a footballer with so much pedigree. Fijian international, of course. He's getting a run of form and fitness together. I remember him bursting onto the scene at the Wollongong Wolves a number of years ago. One of the most promising prospects coming through in this competition for a while. Injury has halted that somewhat, but beginning to show flashes that he might be approaching that form again shortly. Leroy Jennings. Kavanagh trying to turn that one down around the corner. Speaking of promising prospects coming out of this competition, Carlos de Oliveira once fit that bill. He's talking about Blacktown City. He's one of the foremost midfielders across the competition now, wearing the number 10 at one of this competition's biggest clubs, one of Australian football's biggest clubs in reality, aren't they? All the success Sydney United have had down the years. Harry Keys brought in for a start today. He's won his team a free kick high up the pitch. Taken Zayn Alouali's place today in David Perkovic's starting lineup. He was so glowing of him post-game. Came on and made a real impact against the Western Sydney Wanderers a week ago. Both he and Austin Oates have brought off the bench fairly regularly for Perko this season, and it's done them a measure of good, to the point where they've been able to fight their way into the first team more and more regularly. Both have their first ever senior goals for Spirit over the last couple of months. See Spirit build up from the back. Marks is a goalkeeper who's comfortable with the ball at his feet. Here's Keys, just erring as he tried to play that ball in field. De Oliveira is watchful defensively as he's creative in an attacking sense. Both teams like to play with the football. It's leading us to lending it to a bit of a slower tempo to start this game. It's interesting, the back three, the Spirit build up, generally with Brady Smith or Kaya Williams stepping into midfield to try and add a number there. It's turned over in that case, and Wells diving high from the back post, and Marks was aware that he needed to try and keep it in because the final touch was off Nicholas. Mason Wells showing us a bit of athleticism as well there. He's been much heralded for his technical ability over the course of this season. It was a monster of a leap, and it's one he saved a corner kick, which he's set to take now. Left footer, so to be swinging in towards Marks. who came a long way and didn't get there. The final touch was off a Spirit player. Michael Glassick is asking whether he might have been fouled amongst all that. He's still prone on the turf. The referee has said corner ball. Heard the cry of David Perkovic, urging his team to be aware of the short corner. This one goes towards Tomalic at the front post. It was flicked across the face of goal. No red shirt gambling at the back post. And you wonder why David Perkovic was so strident about his team getting out to a potential short corner. That was what undid them for the winner against St George City a couple of weeks ago. Speaking about bizarre results that have just knocked a run of good form, certainly fell in that category for Spirit. It's probably going to cost them a real go at the Premiership this season. Well, they've been much higher up the table than any expected in pre-season. And David Perkovic speaking to media a couple of months ago, admitting didn't quite expect to be this high up the table, but is relishing the fact that his side have been able to keep the consistency that they showed during the start of the season going. With nice football like this, you can see why. Kavanagh sliding it in behind, and Harry Keys is bearing down on goal. Squares it for a Kubo, and the visitors have opened the scoring. Gorgeous flowing move that has become their trademark this season. One end to the other. The United defence all at sea. And it's taken the visitors just 13 minutes to draw first blood here.
Goal for NWS Spirit, scored by number 9, Yu Okubu. Spirit
breaks a bit of a run in this fixture
nil.
that Sydney United have had of scoring the opening goal. They've done that in the last 6 fixtures between these two. But Spirit, well worth the opener. Can question the pressure that was put on through midfield by the United defence, but the passing, the movements off the ball, supremely impressive. That was Spirit at their best. That's what they'll be hoping for more and more of as we build towards the finals. Been a lot of talk about their front three who've all hit form at the same time. Kubo's been on a bit of a dry run by his standards over the last month, but that's his 10th strike of the season in league football. A fine return in his first season at the football club. He won't get too many easier than that. Once Keys was fed through, felt he could have shot or crossed, and the end result might have been the same. But Perkovic rewarded for entrusting the youngster with a start today. Gets the assist for the opening goal. And so what is Sydney United's response? Didn't show one quickly enough last weekend against the Central Coast Mariners, and the game got away from them somewhat. Can't afford to let history repeat itself here. De Oliveira just caught by Kavanagh as he looked to try and spin inside. Different statures, De Oliveira and Kavanagh, but similar styles of football. Players that are happy to get physical defensively, but technical quality is probably what stands them out. Sydney United's response has been to keep the football and build nicely. There has been some very good football in this opening quarter of an hour, and Hatch making his way forward is just grabbed by Harry Keys. He's had an eventful opening 15 minutes in his senior start. An assist and now the first booking of the afternoon. It's a gorgeous ball out from Janjetovic, who's been beaten by the first shot he faced, but wasn't too much he could have done about that. Coming inside his 6-yard box after his defence had been cut to ribbons, really. Wells Inside is cut off, and Spirit are just looking a little bit more energetic and intense in the opening stages. De Oliveira is probably the exception, but even he's turned that over. Keys looking the direct option. Easy read for Michael Classic. Seen that sort of thing all before. Had an interesting first season at the football club, Michael Classic, was used predominantly as holding midfielder as Anthony Tomilic worked his way back towards first team football. He's now displaced Liam McGing, who is available off the bench today. Frante Juric, should he be required, as Adrian Vlastelitz's central defensive partner. It's a defence that hasn't looked all that solid over the last week, and then shown up early here on this Sunday afternoon back at home. Good strong hold-up play from Zavella. It's a more telling influence from the long-time United junior. He's looking for the ball here. Nice touch inside for De Oliveira. Zavella was trying to take up the attack again. Tomilic looking to keep it alive. That came off his shoulder rather than his head. It was effective anyway. Stretching for that ball is Jennings. He's done well to keep it in. And Cornwall, well, he's had a couple of goes at him. Overcame Keys to help out, and it didn't matter which of them it was, but Leroy Jennings had well and truly earned his free kick by the time he went down a second time. Now Corey Kavanagh has just slumped to the turf. There's an initial call for the physio, but he's waved that away. He's done a lot of the captaincy in the absence of Grant Cornwall this season. His own injury armband looks to have returned to the long-time Spirit skipper. He's got it on again today. Two generations of Spirit leaders coming together in this terrific starting 11. I've got defending to do here, though. Sydney United might have an avenue back into the game. De Oliveira over the football. It's a decent ball as well. Commanding goalkeeping from Marks. Wasn't put off by Wells's run in front of him. Powerful punch. De Oliveira doesn't really want to take the throw, so leaves it for Matty Hatch, whose job that really is. Tell you what, he nearly turned it over. De Oliveira still managed to make something of it. And Kaya Williams is there to snuff out the cross at the front post. Vlastelitz's are in a bit of a foot race with a Kubo. It was a smart piece of defending in the end. Oh, and then a less than impressive bit of play from Tomilic, who turns it over. Lusovic for Contestabo. Keys, who's had a fine start to this game. His cross only picks out Vlastelica. Clearance wasn't the most commanding, and Hatch can only flick it out of play for a Spirit throw. United's winning streak of 7 in all competitions snuffed out last weekend. They don't want it to be a real thing of the past here. Good piece of goalkeeping from Vedran Janjetovic. His distribution's been right up to the mark in the early stages, which you always think for a goalkeeper. He's been out of action for a while. That might be one of the first things that goes. This has been spectacular. It's given Sydney United an attacking free kick just to get things going again. 20 minutes gone here. Spirit leading by a goal to nil thanks to Yua Kubo's opener. His 10th strike of the season. Gorgeous team move from Spirit. Flowed from deep in their own defensive half. All the way to Harry Keys on the right, who delivered for the marksman. Marks with a bit of an aimless clearance. Zavella, say the same with his header. Keys. I've been calling a lot. He's been right in the action. And he's got the better of Matt Hatch here. Ball for Akube. Just asked a little much of him. Spirit fans are happier here. There's a growing sense of frustration building around the Sydney United Sports Centre. It's giving the team some urgency, though, as they move forward in this attack. Hatch. For De Oliveira. And now Jennings, who's held his run. Hatch's touch lets him down. The clearance from Keys let him down. Milicevic. Wells got a foot in, which prevented the clearance from gaining any real traction. Vlastelica can try and return serve. Lovely ball for Jennings. Face to face with Cornwall again. He's got his beating this time. How's the ball? Not bad. Just behind Milicevic. It was a cool piece of play as well from the American midfielder Milicevic to nod it back to Chris Marks amongst all that chaos in the penalty area. Smith for Takumi Afuka. Kavanagh and Conestabo and Keys. Now Smith. Chance for United to press. Spirit played themselves in a little bit of trouble, but Cornwall's managed to manufacture something to get it out of them. So for Sydney United fans tuning in this afternoon, a reminder your team are in Waratah Cup final action on Wednesday night. Been in 3 of the last 4 after their qualification this season against the Northern Tigers. Wednesday nights at Valentine Sports Park. Kick-off at 7 o'clock. Reminder as well, you need to buy tickets before you get to the ground. Those sales closing at 5 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon before the gates open at 6:30. To get those tickets for the Waratah Cup final, which is also being streamed, where you found this one. Will Constantinides and Nicola Posda will be on the call for you. You need to search Waratah Cup final tickets, and first couple of results pop up. Testing that this afternoon. Fairly easy to find, so just search Waratah Cup final tickets. That'll pop up and see if they can make some more history on Wednesday nights. This United team. Tell you what, it's Spirit who are playing all the terrific stuff at the moment, though. Nafuka's got a chance to try and do something clever. He squares it up for Kavanagh. Bit of a deeper position. He's searching for Keys, who lost it in the sunshine. You can see him holding his arms out. Almost didn't want the cross to come his way. Well-timed challenge from Grant Cornwall has stayed forward. Don't often see him up there. He lashed out a little. Caught Milicevic in the aftermath. I mentioned Sydney United's run started with a cup final against Spirit FC back in 2022 when they were still a second-tier side. Started this run of fixtures we've seen over both these teams' recent history. They know each other very well. Spirit who got the chocolates on that famous afternoon, the first team from outside the top tier of New South Wales football to win the Waratah Cup. And their close rivals, the Northern Tigers, are trying to repeat the trick just 3 years later against the same opposition. Here's Wells. Loves to get on to that left foot. Oh, it's a nice combination play. And Zavella's found himself in space. Just went for power at his near post, and Chris Marks did well to turn it around the post. He's just giving Spirit a little bit to think about at the moment, isn't he? Luke Zavella. Hasn't seen a heap of the ball up there, but when he has, he's tended to make something of it. Sydney United probably edged things since going behind. Can they find a result on the score sheet? Haven't had the best quality from their set-piece opportunities yet this afternoon. Hatch trying to launch it long, but it was closed down by Kavanagh, and now Afuka's got green grass in front of him. Hatch over in cover, and does well to turn him backwards before a well-timed sliding challenge from Jennings came all the way from his opposite flank to help out. Attitude is right from Sydney United 58. You can't criticise them for that. Just needing a bit more quality when they get into their final third. A little more watchful in this area of the pitch. Spirit have been able to continue generating pretty decent opportunities. Hatch is too strong for Harry Keys on that occasion. Jennings dancing past a couple of Spirit defenders to maintain possession. Janjetovic for Glasic. Lobbing that one over the top, but not able to find Zuvela. Just over 15 minutes to play in this first half. Chris Marks has had a couple of fairly regulation saves to make. It's a bit about the extent of what Sydney United have been able to muster in terms of opportunities. Can't say Spirit have had a heap more, apart from the beautifully worked goal that they scored to separate the two teams. Haven't exactly given Vedran Janjetovic the busiest afternoon at the office. Still plenty of football to be played, though. Bailey Rule. Milicevic. Turns the favour to Rule. Wells was trying to turn that ball inside, not able to find another A-League Academy graduate. He was sniffing around there as Lucevic just lost his bearings for a moment. Kubo trying to link up with Kavanagh. Glasic was alive to all that and snuffed it out. A couple of nice touches from David Perkovic. We'll want his team to try and seal a second. It's not the be-all and end-all, as they learned the hard way a couple of weeks ago, but getting control of proceedings at the moment without being the dominant force. Fuka was trying something clever, something Sydney United fans got to see a few years ago with their own Japanese import, Tasei Kaneko. Had such an impact here this season at the club. Down that same flank, became a fan favourite very quickly, Tasei. It's a Japanese duo that are making their name at Spirit this season in Akubo and Afuka. Both already known to the competition, but by no means two of its big superstars. Move to come together has really done them both a world of good. Fuka was already acknowledged as one of the most terrific technical midfielders in the competition. It's just finding a bit of consistency about his game when he was down at the Wollongong Wolves. Move up to the north of Sydney has done him a world of good. Kubo just seeing more opportunities in a team that is higher up the table than he was able to with Hills United a year ago. Hatch felt he was dragged down and then returned the favour to Keys, and now the whistle comes. Much to United's frustration. Ante Juric, not one to rant and rave, but just asking the question. Thomas Dale, the fourth official. Smith for Nicholas. He was more than clipped by Milicevic. We've seen a couple of challenges like that come in from both teams through midfield today. Haven't been protective of one another's legs, that's for sure. Lovely touch from Contestavo. Took him into space, and Lucevic has pushed beyond the United midfield. Shifts it for a Fuka. Plays it into the midriff of Rule, and it ricochets behind for a Spirit corner. That's when Spirit really do get themselves into full flight, when they're able to create that extra number in midfield. United are really struggling to deal with it. Brady Smith steps in there. He's got Kavanagh and Vucevic and Fuka in front of him. It's the American over to take this corner. Janjetovic read it beautifully. Now rolls it out. Wells and De Oliveira have got to sort it out between them, because Kavanagh is bearing down and Fuka is back to sweep up defensively. Adrian Vlastelica urging his side forward, getting them up the pitch. Hutch and Tomlic and Zavella. This is better from Sydney United. Milisevic's ball for Wells is pretty good as well. This is where he loves to operate. Nicholas aware of the danger. Rule overlapping, and Marks with a brave piece of goalkeeping. Zavella was right on his nose and may well have caught him in that facet of play. Oh, now it was the follow-up from Mason Wells that Nathan Shakespeare was less than impressed with. Wells looks away in disbelief. It was the second bite at the goalkeeper rather than the first. And the free kick goes Spirit's way. Spirit players reacted very quickly, asking for the booking. Also stretching for things. You feel he had it within his rights to challenge, but catching the goalkeeper in the head is never something too tidy. And well, it's a warm afternoon. We've got an impromptu drinks break taking place. I don't think it's an official one. And Nathan Shakespeare's just making the point to the play. He's being lenient with it, but come on, boys. Got a half of football to play here. Not even touching 20 degrees, the temperature today. As I mentioned earlier in the first half, though, this sunshine is bathing the Adenta Park surface. Hopefully coming through you as beautifully at home as it is to us sitting up in the Boca stands here. Wells pumps it into Nicholas. Corey Kavanagh had actually had to come off for just a second there. Parker College product from Sydney's leafy northern suburbs. But he's got plenty of grit and grind in his play. Bit of quality when he's on the ball as well. Keys and Kavanagh. Gorgeous. And then the turnover from Contestavo, of all people. Zavella showing his strength. Wells just running into Nicholas. That's not well advised. Milicevic winning the challenge but conceding the throw. And now Kavanagh's down again. This is not a good sign for Spirit FC. Second time in a matter of moments that Corey Kavanagh's been called for treatment. I think this is going to be the end of his afternoon. So critical through the centre of the park for David Perkovic, the homegrown talent, but once again making his way very gingerly off the centre of the Sydney United Sports Centre. 23-year-old. Missed most of May for an injury. Let's hope it's not a reoccurrence of that. He's bitterly disappointed. Spirit's number 6 made his way from the field. Spirit have not yet got a sub ready, so they're down to 10 for the moment. Hopefully it's not a costly error. Andre Takami set to make his debut for his new club. long-time Wollongong Wolves player as well, joining his former teammates Takumi Afuka in the yellow and black. Classic trying to build from the back. United have got just over 10 minutes or just under 10 minutes, I should say, to find an equaliser before half-time. Jennings was clever enough to nudge Cornwall out of the way and then strong enough to right the challenge. Brilliant work from Jennings. De Oliveira thumps it into Kaya Williams. Well positioned to bail out his captain. Andre Takami about to join the fray for a Spirit FC debut. Still they're down to 10 for the moment, so try to ride out another attack. Cornwall well positioned this time. Trying to buy another free kick off Cornwall, and this time he got it. Off Leroy Jennings, rather.
Replacement for NWS Spirit
Andre
coming off
Takami.
is number 6, Corey Kavanagh, to be replaced by number 18, Andre Takami.
Taking his place in the centre of Spirit's midfield, so they're back to their full complement, which is a positive, but without one of their leaders. Takami was that for a long time for Wollongong. Spent a short time over in Japan a couple of seasons ago. I mentioned that sense of frustration is building around Sydney United, a club known for being a passionate lot, their fans. Quite feeling they're getting the rub of the green at the moment, but the team have not produced quite enough in an attacking sense to really say they deserve to be level in this game. Could change the narrative here. Jennings has stayed onside. Not the best first touch, but time enough to recover and dart inside. There's a couple of half challenges in there, but again, no whistle from referee Shakespeare. And now he blows things up so that a couple of players can receive treatment. One of them down is Andre Takami, who's only just come on. He and Jennings colliding as the Fijian flyer made his way towards the penalty area. And now Ante Juric, whose frustration has been growing through this first half, is not as politely asking the question to the fourth official now.
Progress scores from other grounds. Rockdale have equalised. It's Rockdale 1, Sutherland 1, Central Coast 1, leads now Drew at 0, and Marconi 0, Sydney FC 0.
Jennings Enterprise didn't end when he started getting the free kick, but it's just slowed things. Spirit not able to get out in transition. But the drop ball is going to go the visitors' way, I think. Now Jennings making his way off just to receive some treatment. Spirit are going to be able to play up from the back. And, well, Kaya Williams say a lesson in the laws for the youngster. Ball's got to hit the turf before he can touch it. Second time around he gets it right. Got the ball forward correct too. Can't say the same of Connor Starbo. So it's been the story of this fixture. The home sides have got a perfect record, but haven't had their colours blown in either direction since Spirit's promotion a couple of seasons ago. The visitors are looking to flip the script here this afternoon. And Jennings and Marks coming together, and Marks has taken to that none too kindly. I think fair enough. Jennings maybe just letting a bit of his own frustration out there. Free kick given the Spirit goalkeeper's way. Much to do about nothing, really. This ball from Wells, who's still contributing more than his fair share with that left boot off the right-hand side. Flicking passes inside, and he's been pretty close to 100% in his success rate this afternoon. Classic, looking to find something a bit more cutting going forward. Say the same of Tomolic. Wells for Rule. Sent him forward on a couple of occasions, Bailey Rule. Well, he's provided some threat. He's looking to continue his run here. Found by Tomolic, but the flag was up. It's a tight decision. Thomas Galatli is the assistant on the near side. It's right on the line of the Spirit defence. Spirit now looking as though they're searching for the sanctity of the dressing room, because United have wrestled the momentum off them in the last 5 or 10 minutes. Again, just looking for that real piece of quality in the final third. He's evaded them to this point. Jennings showing his desire again, but it's not the outcome he was looking for. See here, Spirit taking their time over this throw. Just a quick update from what's happening elsewhere this afternoon. Busy in this competition today. Central Coast Mariners have got a 1-0 lead against the Mount Druitt Town Rangers up at Plume Park in that battle down the bottom. Marconi and Sydney FC still sitting 0-0 down the road from here. Rockdale and Sutherland locked at 1-1 down at the Illington Sports Centre. These are all very good results for Spirit FC at the moment. Love a second just to make their smile that little bit bigger in the closing stages here. Tomolic across in front of Lucevic, but Spirit are going to have an attacking throw from which to base themselves. Smith. First touch for Takami in Spirit colours. Dropped it off for Nicholas, away by Glasic. Back to Takami from Konestavo. He and Lucevic linking up. This is nicely worked from Andre Takami. What an immediate impact he's having. And Konestavo just left the ball behind as he tried to make that third man run. Keys brings down Vlastelica. The referee looked initially to play advantage, but it never really came. Zavella was basically playing the lone hand further up the field, so right to stop things. Sydney United need to make the most of stoppage time. Fans urging them forwards. Found a little bit of voice in these late stages. Jennings has got the better of Cornwall again. It's Leroy Jennings. It's up towards Wells, away by Nicholas. Back in by Tomolic. And further away by Cornwall this time. Recovered his position well. Kubo's had it nicked off him. 4 minutes of stoppage time to be added on here. Sydney United got the bit between their teeth, really for the first time this afternoon, in the shadows of half-time. Glasic strikes Konestavo rather than sticking out his arm, despite a couple of half-hearted appeals for handball. They've got to be careful they don't get caught on the counter here, Sydney United. It's where Afuka loves to operate. Glasic stuck his hand up, but that was nowhere near being out of play. Lucevic. Spirit happy to build slowly. De Oliveira harrying and hassling his opponents and manufacturing a free kick. A bit silly from Milicevic, really. It's cost them the chance to take the free kick quickly. They feel they're not getting the rub of the green at the moment, Sydney United, and United have agreed with them for the majority of this first half, but not doing themselves any favours with little clashes like that, and the one that Jennings had with Marks a few moments ago. It's just slowing the pace of play down for themselves. They're the ones who want the tempo high. Nathan Shakespeare just making that point, I think, to Aiden Milicevic. You getting involved in stuff like that is to your own disadvantage. The football's been phenomenal in the last 5 or 10 minutes. Just missing that finishing touch. Rule. And now Milicevic, fresh off that little coming together, just walking the tightrope a little too thinly. Now it's Spirits, showing some game management, call it that. Recognising they're coming under some sort of pressure, more than they felt all afternoon. It's a good old Sunday League boxing in here. Nicholas takes the throw deep in his own half and just hoiks it away. Tomolic stretching, and that meant his touch was lacking a bit of direction. Maybe the vigour, that little push from Sydney United has just departed. Or maybe not. Oliveira lobbing it forward. Cornwall did well to control. Ball's come wide for Wells. Nicholas knows exactly where to show him. Don't let him on that left foot. Good piece of defending. Wells has gone down under the challenge. De Oliveira is continuing to try and push things forward. Conestabo skies it out of play. Wells back to his feet. Zavella. Smith at his back, and just got a touch there, Brady Smith. We're all going to go the long option. We haven't seen it so far this afternoon. He's got a decent throw on him. That's right towards Zavella. Didn't manage to get a touch, but there's no red shirt at the drop of the football. This feels like the end of 90 minutes rather than a push at the end of the first half. Spirit, who've been in the ascendancy in terms of possession, have almost completely relinquished it in the last 10 minutes. Zavella showing his athleticism. Couldn't direct the header. Conestabo scrapping for it with Rule. And that is the final action. A very entertaining first half. Two teams playing a similar style of football. It was Spirit who edged the early stages and took the lead through Iwakubo. Got his 10th goal of the season, beautifully laid on for him by Harry Keys after a flowing team move. Chris Marks tested a couple of times by Luke Zavella, but nothing too spectacular from the Spirit goalkeeper to this point.
For the quest for their ninth Waratah Cup.
After that big push, Sydney United haven't been able to find the equaliser. As such, the two teams head to the sheds with the scoreline sitting. Sydney United 58-0. Spirit FC 1.
Next week, Sydney United away 3.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Sydney United Sports Centre at Denzer Park. Spirit FC leading the hosts, Sydney United, by 1-0 at half-time. Ua Kubo's 10th strike of the season after a beautifully worked move from Spirit, which started deep in their own half and ended with their Japanese marksman putting the ball in the back of the net. A couple of saves forced from Chris Marks by some better United attack in the final 15 minutes of that first half, but still looking for the strike that would square the ledger. And with results elsewhere going in Spirit's favour, it could prove to be a very fruitful afternoon, but they've got to see out another 45 minutes against the United side who have grown into this game as it's worn on. Certainly looked a lot better in the second period of that first half than they did in the opening stages.
Half-time replacement for Sydney United. Number 5, Anthony Tobolich, has been replaced.
And one
by
half-time
number 8,
substitution
Mario
for
Chabot.
Ante Juric as they chase this equaliser. Mario Chabot brought into the middle of United's midfield at the expense of Anthony Tobolich. Only gets 45 minutes today, so Chabot will go as one of the higher two in Juric's midfield, with De Oliveira now the deepest lying of the three central midfielders. See if that changes the trajectory of the game whatsoever. It's a nice touch, and Chabot's had a nice clean opening. It was a dangerous ball. Just needed somebody on the end of it. It's changed from Spirit at the break as well. You see Ollie Wigan has joined the action. The position of Harry Keys, who's only seen out the first 45 minutes as well. So Spirit may be going for the jugular here. That seems an attacking move. Wigan lining up at right wing back, has of course played so much of his senior career as an out-and-out wing player, but must to do a little bit more defensive work. Be interesting to see if it is a regulation wing back role or whether Spirit have gone to a back four to start this second half. Plenty for us to look upon as the narrative unfolds in this second half. Looking as though Cornwall is playing as the out-and-out right back with Williams and Smith through the centre of Spirit's defence. Gave away that 2-0 lead a couple of weeks ago away at St George City. Don't want history to repeat itself here. Just spotted Richie Darko making his way down below us, underneath the Boca stand. Former Spirit player, long-time Spirit player after their promotion campaign back in 2022. Made the switch back to the place where he started his senior career in New South Wales football with Sydney United in the off-season. Lovely switch of play from Vlastelica. I haven't seen him unleash that left boot as much as we sometimes do. Just that ball to perfection. United have continued at the start of the second half exactly how they ended the first, putting Spirits under plenty of pressure in their own half. Wells. Milosevic just got his feet muddled for a moment there, and De Oliveira blasted into his opposite number, Codestavo. Gorgeous touch from Afuka to bring it out of the air, but then playing it out over the touchline. David Perkovic, as vocal as he's been all afternoon, he's not been barking instructions quite as consistently as we're used to, but he's sensing perhaps the momentum of this match has changed slightly. 10 minutes either side of half-time. Glassick. Trying to match Vlaselic's switch, but not quite the same measure on that ball. Mentioned those other fixtures going on at the moment. Spirit might have the two teams playing today that are above them dropping points if things hold. Sydney FC and Marconi still locked at 0-0 just after half-time down the road from here, and Rockdale currently sitting locked at 1-1 with the Sutherland Sharks. This could be two big results we look at in the midweek fallout in terms of the premiership race. If that was all to hold, Spirit would cut Oakdale's lead from them down to 4 points. Be just a point shy of Marconi at the end of the weekend. Premiership race is well and truly on. A good result for Apia if all things hold as well after their win yesterday. Wells looking to turn inside. United still wanting to have their say amongst all that. Going about it in the right manner. Just looking for a finishing touch to really give Chris Marks a bigger headache than he's had all afternoon. Rule, lovely spin. Wells. See the yellow shirts just gathering inside the box, defending their penalty area. David Perkovic's cry was for his side to wake up. Played with so much possession for the opening half hour. They've barely seen the ball in a promising area since that. 30-minute mark ticked over. That's why the change in formation has come. Rule for Milicevic. Another enterprising run. Chabal. Now Rule is growing in influence as this game wears on, as is De Oliveira. This is much better build-up from United. Hatch almost got stuck in two minds between taking the ball on or dummying it. In the end, it just ran for Jennings, who keeps the attack alive. He's trying to roll Kaya Williams with his strength here. Did well to stretch and find De Oliveira. Opens it up for Wells. Spent time crafting this attack, and it might end very nicely for them. Zavella was there. And Rule electing to let the ball run because he was in an offside position. Ball ends just well enough for Spirit, with Nicholas seeing the ball over the touchline. That's what a lot of United's attacking impetus has been built off, the combination between Wells and Rule down the right-hand side. Wells the left footer there. Always wants to dart in, leaves a lot of space for overlapping runs. I want to see that pattern come more and more through this second half. Vucevic. This is the way Spirit want to play, building things up. That's better than we've seen from them in the last 15 or 20 minutes. Smith for Wigan. Gorgeous touch for Conestabile. Wrangled it well ahead of Oliveira. De Oliveira, rather. Vucevic for Afuka. Wigan started out to the left-hand side. Tells us he's been given some license by David Perkovic to get involved in an attacking sense. Nicholas and Afuka can't sort it out between them. The attack fizzles out. Nice touch from Nicholas. Made sure the throw couldn't make its way forwards. Takami in his Spirit debut. Fuka just easing Vlastelica off the ball. Referee Shakespeare thought it was a little more than that. Takami taking this one on. Good challenge from De Oliveira. Still Spirit have the ball fall for them. But a Kubo. Takami was taken late by De Oliveira. Spirit allowed to play through the advantage. Wigan whipping it in low. Glassick away. Spirit refinding their fire. Glassick had to deal with that at an awkward height, and Vlastelica almost catching Conestabile as he cleared that ball. Still, United can't clear their lines. Takami doesn't mind a strike from there. As far as Wigan, the deflection and a smart piece of goalkeeping from Janjetovic, using all of that experience. Looked pretty tidy in his first game back. In familiar surroundings, Vedran Janjetovic. Visited here once with Wollongong Wolves back in 2023. It's his first game back at this famous old ground since his time in the A-League. Look at that red, white and blue of his Croatian heritage. Gorgeous touch from Zavella. Wolves just had a little bit much on it, allowed Williams to get across in cover. Well, he didn't exactly deal with it though, Kaya Williams, and the corner's gone United's way. I have to say, it's a gamble from David Perkovic going to this back four. An attempt to find the second goal and a little bit of safety. It's leaving Spirit a little more open at the back. Wells' ball lacking the direction. There's a coming together between Nicholas and Vlastelica. Two experienced campaigners. And Nathan Shakespeare just having a chat to the two combatants about that coming together. Came entangled more than anything too serious. Interesting what the decision is here, because I don't know if he spotted a foul. Certainly it would have been simultaneous. And the free kick's gone Spirit's way. Mark's measuring that one for Lucevic. This game that was played at such high quality for the opening 50 minutes or so. It's all just departed, both teams, for the last 5 minutes. Struggling to string passes together. Maybe a bit of tiredness in the legs, although the conditions here have been conducive to good football. That's better from United. Milicevic. Oliveira just erring on it, but got it back off Vlasic. The pass wide for Wells was more in desperation than anything pre-planned. Spirit's well-set defence is causing problems. They had all 11 behind the ball, and Takami was able to steal in and knock the ball away. Shouts from both technical areas now, urging their sides on as we approach the hour mark. Good touch from Zavella. I think Chabal might have been lining up for a shot. If he wasn't, the ball was perfect. Wells face-to-face with Nicholas, who did brilliantly. Very good piece of defending against one of the most dangerous proponents in that area of the pitch across the competition. Ball returned to Wells. Touch lets him down this time. Smith can clear. Classic heading back towards the big frame of Luke Zavella. Nicholas's second attempt at a clearance is more fruitful than the first. Spirit don't want to get stuck in this sort of pattern of play again. Milicevic has evaded the markers again, and Williams just stepping across. No free kick, says referee Shakespeare. Still might fall for Chabal. And again he goes down under the challenge from Williams. This time the whistle goes. Just getting himself in some awkward positions there at the moment, isn't he, Kaya Williams? No one picked up Milicevic as he slipped in between the lines. Nice bit of movement away from trouble. Nathan Shakespeare's right at the centre of everything here at the moment. Mario Chabal's influence has been very, very impressive since being brought on at half-time. Expect nothing less. Such an experienced campaigner at this level. Once upon a time, a Central Coast Mariner back in the A-League. It's a long time been one of the best creative midfielders in this competition. He and De Oliveira over this ball. And it's De Oliveira goes the low option to a line of 7 Spirit players standing in front of the ball. Clever touch from Vlastelica, and then a slip's allowed the United skipper in. Conestabro getting back to the defending. Everything was a little bit backwards there. Right along the line, the ball releases Afuka, and his radar is off as he looked to play the ball centrally. It's all getting very scrappy here. Cornwall's just belted the ball away, and that might be the easiest decision that Nathan Shakespeare has all afternoon. Clear yellow card for the Spirit skipper. Just the second Spirit player in the book. Harry Keys is no longer on the field. Jennings, notably on the periphery since half-time. Just getting himself back involved in play there. His touch wasn't the most useful. Afuka's better. Or Akubo, rather. And then Conestabro goes down under the challenge of De Oliveira. Not for the first time this afternoon. And Spirit just looking to take some sting out of United's play at the moment. It's not that it's been completely controlled and unstoppable, but it has been down their end of the pitch for the majority. Opening 15 minutes in this second half. Half an hour to play. Spirit still leading by a goal to nil through Akubo's opening goal. It's first in a month. It's a well-crafted team effort. Just looking to slow the tempo somewhat. Game that was all becoming a bit frantic. A lot of balls like that falling into 50-50s. Lucevic made that there. Here's a little elastico from Ollie Wigan. Hit the defence, but he couldn't work his way between Hatch and Milicevic. Spirit trying to upset the apple cart in terms of the history of this fixture since their promotion. No home side has been beaten by a visitor. The only time Spirit have beaten Sydney United away from Christie Park was in that Waratah Cup final of 2022 at Landon Stadium. Occasion they led by 2-0 at the break before Chris Payne scored a worldie to give Sydney United a lifeline. Weren't able to find an equaliser that day. They're hoping they're able to this afternoon. And so Ante Juric goes to one of his talented attacking options on his bench. The end of the afternoon for Luke Javella. It's been enterprising, provided plenty of energy up there and a big body for United to aim for.
Replacement for Sydney United coming off is number 37, Luke Juvella. And coming on is number 13, Alessandro Lacalandra.
Frame of Alessandro Lacalandra, who was on the score sheet last weekend against the Central Coast Mariners. Might get an early chance here. Chabal, Glasic, De Oliveira. Protecting it from Afuka, who did well to get in front position eventually. Still using his strength without touching the football, and it goes behind for a Spirit goal kick. This is De Oliveira, always full of energy and enterprise, ending up on the turf. Two used by Ante Juric off his bench. Liam McGing is the defensive option there, should he look to go that way. Thomas Mako and Stefan de Robillard are the other two attacking options. Spirit FC, that half-time change of Ollie Wigan. The only change they've made so far. Oh, actually, sorry, the second, because Andre Takami replaced Corey Kavanagh during the first half. Lucevic goes down under the challenge of De Oliveira, concedes another free kick. His foul count is getting rather high. And this one's in a pretty dangerous area for Spirit as well. Other ones there for Perkovic, should he look to go to his bench. Zane Oluwalia and Austin Oates, as well as the backup goalkeeper Christophe Chen. Janjetovic setting his wall. He's got 3 there. As the shadows start to overtake the sunlight here in Edensor Park. 25 minutes to play. Interesting to see what Lucevic does here. The thought to go direct. He's going to try and measure it, and free kick on the edge of the area goes against Brady Smith. Running into Matt Hatch. Renders the ball in fruitless and useless, really. Wonder as well, during the week, get up to date with everything that's happened across the weekend. Full slate of 8 matches, all the highlights across the Football New South Wales YouTube channel, where you've found this game under the videos tab. Reminder as well that we're on Facebook, Instagram and X as well. Just search at NPL NSW for all the match reports, and highlights will be posted there as well. As well as all the build-up to the Waratah Cup final on Wednesday at Valentine Sports Park. A reminder to Sydney United fans, you need to go and get your tickets in advance. So search Sydney and search Waratah Cup final tickets. Looked as though it was building in a promising area there. Bailey Rule just stepping offside. Second time the right back's been flagged during this game. That game against the Northern Tigers, and the draw for the Australia Cup round of 32 is that game against the Northern Tigers, the second edition after the Cup final. It's going to be played here the week of the 19th of July. We'll have one free midweek and then back in action against the same opposition again, Ante Juric. The Tigers have been, well, they were blessed by the draw in the early stages, but then knocked over Arbia Leichhardt at Lambert Park in the Waratah Cup semi-final. And Janjetovic just directing the ball boys to get out from behind his goal. Kubo just taking his time to take a couple of juggles there. Spirit as much trying to wind down the clock as they are looking for a second goal by their play at the moment, certainly not by the personnel. Kubo's gone down in a heap behind play. Jennings, oh, this is the area he loves to play in. The touch took him away from Cornwall. And now Williams is stretching his legs to get back, and he's just scythed down the Sydney United winger. Well, that had been coming for Kaya Williams, and he's taken one for the team there. I don't think he was too fussed about whether he caught the player or the ball there. Becomes the third Spirit player booked this afternoon. So they've all been pretty straightforward decisions for the referee as well. It's going to be an exciting moment as well for the Spirit fans. Jordan Perez, who's his first season with the club, but has spent quite a bit of time out with injury over the past couple of months, is set to make his return. The 11 out there for Spirit at the moment. I've got another set piece to defend before he can make his entrance, though. Quarter of the game left to play. Can United give us a grandstand finish? Bailey Rule! Saw him hit a volley from there just over a year ago down the opposite end. It's one of the goals of last season, not able to repeat the trick. So here it is, a return to football for Jordan Perez.
Coming off is number 22, Takumi Ofuka, and coming on is number 5, Jordan Perez.
So there's the defensive change we were saying might be coming for Spirit.
Scores from other
Perez
grounds,
is still able
Sutherland 2,
to
lead Rockdale 1.
That attacking
Central
impetus,
Coast 2, lead Mount Druitt 0, and Marconi 1, lead Sydney FC 0.
So that left knee just strapped a little, in some support. He's back in the fray, which is a good sign for the Spirit faithful. Wells. Cornwall able to cut it out. Wigan is always full of trickery. Just to knock the ball forward, but it was to the advantage of Milicevic. And now Jennings is getting engaged in the game again. Plays it off the Hatch. De Oliveira. Milicevic just a little sloppy with his touch, which took some of the sting out of the attack. United forced to build from the back again with Glassick. All 11 Spirit players behind the football. Chabot as deep as we've seen him. Trying to dictate terms. Glassick stepping out of defence. Going on a bit of an adventure forward. Slipped the ball inside, almost nutmegged two of his own players. See, the lights have come on with 20 minutes to play. It's quite a noted difference in the lighting. Don't need to adjust your sets at home. Gorgeous feet from Lacalandra. Wells. Williams dealing with it well again. I'll tell you what, he's found himself in a pickle a couple of times, Kaya Williams, but his defensive work in that sort of area has been as tidy as ever. Another of these plenty of Spirit juniors who've found their way into David Perkovic's first team. One of the first names on the team sheet at the moment, the 20-year-old. So Spirit are back into the back five with the introduction of Perez. Takami sliding for it and winning out. Gets it back off Milicevic, sticking in a boot was Rule. Milicevic brought down by De Oliveira. He just can't get himself out to the sights of referee Nathan Shakespeare at the moment. Pressure building, but the momentum is swinging back in the way of Spirit. I wonder whether United have let their chance to get back in this game slide. Still time enough to find an equaliser. Maybe even a winner. 20 minutes is plenty to find a couple of goals, but Spirit's defence, which looked a little loose against St George City a couple of weeks ago, is looking back to its firm best. Janjetovic stretching for that, able to save the corner, but ball is down the wrong end for United. Spirit's defence, long, one of the best in the competition, still second only to Marconi in that statistic across the course of the 2025 season. And the news is getting even better for Spirit. We'll bring you that in just a moment. Jordan Perez battling his way and almost putting in a rugby tackle on Mario Chabot, who's keen to have a word as both are sat up on the turf. Agricultural piece of defending from Jordan Perez, and Mario Chabot is asking whether some further discipline might be necessary. Nathan Shakespeare gives him a shake of the head, says the free kick's more than enough. I say that news is good for Spirit fans because Rockdale trailed Sutherland by 2-1. It's the new signing Marzis, who's got Sutherland second as well. Winless for so long through the middle part of the season. They might now be having their say in the title race, and Marconi is smiling because they've taken a 0-0 lead over Sydney FC down the road from here. The implications on the table turning by the moment. Marconi would still be second if these results hold on goal difference to Rockdale, but it is bringing everything close together again. Fans of this competition will remember well the 2022 season where 3 teams were in with a chance for the Premiership and all led on the final day. Sydney Olympic eventually emerging victorious under Ante Juric, beating Blacktown at Belmore. Manly United made a fist of their chase for that, to taking a 3-0 win. 3-0 lead against Rockdale. A fourth would have handed the premiership to them before Rockdale spoiled the party by getting one back late, handed their great rivals a First premiership since 2018. Changes here for Sydney United 58, and there's some eyebrows raised around Edensor Park as Leroy Jennings is relieved.
Coming off for Sydney United is
just
number 32,
quite having
Leroy
its final
Jennings,
reward for the Fijian
being replaced by
international.
number 22, Stefan de Robillard.
Stefan de Robillard has come up with a couple of big moments off the bench this season. He's looking to add a moment of quality again in the final 15 minutes here. As things sit for Spirit, if they can hang on to this lead, they will be just 3 points adrift of the league leaders. Cornwall happy to just launch it into the concrete on the near side below us in the Boca stands. Sydney United could still change the narrative. There is still plenty of minutes to play. I think a fair whack of stoppage time might be coming their way if the first half was anything to go by. And Hatch has taken up the attack and couldn't get there ahead of Kaya Williams. A crossing cover again. He's standing up in a big way. Spirit centre half in the final few minutes. This all sets it up very nicely. Spirit returning home to host out of form Manly United at Christie Park before what's looking like an increasingly tricky trip to Seymour Shore to take on the Sutherland Sharks in a couple of weeks. Of course, earlier in the season, United spoiled Spirit's perfect record, so a measure of revenge potentially being meted out. Fixture that has tossed up so many storylines over the past 4 seasons. No different again here. All playing it forwards towards Lakalandra, who couldn't get there. Could Spirit kill it off? Wigan. Vucevic happy to just retain possession with Nicholas and now Williams. Cornwall with the press from de Robillard, which was beautifully timed. Now in a wrestling match with the Spirit skipper, and the free kick goes the visitors' way. Just a couple of moments like that that haven't gone Sydney United's way this afternoon. Conestabo. Poor pass. Not quite been at his best today, Michael Conestabo. Must be said. See that left leg heavily strapped. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Andre Takami's had a fine debut since coming on just before half-time for Corey Kavanagh. They've lost nothing, which is nothing short of a big compliment because Kavanagh does give them so much drive through midfield. Takami has been like for like, in the best sense, for David Perkovic. Conestabo just delaying things. That'll draw a warning rather than a yellow card. Hatch now assessing his options. The Sydney United frustration. Just got to be careful it doesn't leak into their play, as it's seeming to at the moment. Milicevic still a cool head. Bailey Rules had a terrific second half. He's just looking for the finisher of one of his crosses. Sydney United's attack goes back to work, building intricately. Vlastelica measuring it up for Wells. Dealt with by Nicholas. Can't say the same of Vucevic, who's put Grant Cornwall in an awkward position. Does enough just to play it out for a throw. I'm sure he got a bit of distance on it as well. Hutch again. De Robillard on the turn. Got away from Takami nicely. He's got Cornwall in pursuit as well. And he's won his side a corner. Nice bit of play from Stefan de Robillard. One of a few astute pickups over the past couple of seasons for Sydney United 58. Cherry picking the top players, but it's bringing in signings who have added a level of technical ability. So they've regenerated this roster of theirs over the last couple of years. Vlastelica bundling over Williams, who's continuing to have a terrific close to this game, much to the frustration of Sydney United. This result holds. We've told you that Spirit will be within 3 points of the teams at the top of the table, Rockdale and Marconi. Sydney United hang on to a 4-point lead over Olympic, but they might be killed off here. Ollie Wigan off the bench on the score sheet seals the 3 points for Spirit. A deadly counter to add to their beautifully built first. They can do it all. Another fine performance
Goal
away from
for
home
NWS Spirit,
for this
scored by number
sterling
11,
Spirit
Ollie Wigan.
side.
Spirit 2 leads Sydney United 0.
Blacktown, Apia, and now Sydney United looking as though they'll be vanquished on their own patch by this team, who are right back in the premiership picture, given the rest of the results this afternoon. A storyline brewing. A title chase brewing. Hands from all across the squad. We talked about Austin Oates and Harry Keyes. Ollie Wigan, who's missed the majority of the season through injury. Scores his first, and what a time to get it, of 2025. It was a gamble from David Perkovic. Bring on that attacking substitution at half-time. It has reaped rewards with 10 minutes to play. Not content to rest on the 1-goal lead. Not content to sit and defend. Keen to still prompt and probe at the United defensive line, and they've done it beautifully in this second half. It's been a lesson in game management at different stages. As Conestabo goes down, and Spirits just need to run out the clock now. The air has well and truly gone out of the Sydney United Sports Centre now. So a body or two departs to the exits. It's been one of the advantages they've had this season. Sydney United, third best home record in the competition. Going to have their colours blown here. Cornwall taken down off the ball by de Robillard. Thought he had Cornwall's measure in the early stages of his time on the field in this game, but the Spirit skipper has shown up again. Frankie Lucevic, it's not been as central a role as it was a week ago when he scored the winner against the Wanderers. And another fine hand.
Coming off for NWS Spirit is number
American
7, Frankie
putting in another fine
Lucevic,
performance.
being replaced by number 19,
Zain Aluwalia.
Zain Aluwalia.
One for the final 10 minutes. His spot taken off him by Harry Keyes today. His versatility is a terrific asset for Spirit. Players wide wing back or through the centre of the park. He's shown plenty of ability in that area of the pitch this season when called upon to do that job. Down goes Mason Wells. You feel United's Press for a goal might be in vain here. Nicholas slicing that one over the touchline. So United are going to be beaten for the second time in 2 weeks after winning 7 straight. It's been an unwanted story of their season. Every time they've seemed to strike a bit of form, they've just run into a team that has outperformed them on the day. It's very much been the case this afternoon. Hatch, smothered by Conestabo, and Wigan's full of confidence. Akubo started his run in an offside position, but was never a chance of reeling that one in anyway. Well, it would be some sort of story if Sydney United could steal a point from here. He's still got belief. Milicevic. De Oliveira has again to try and unpick the lock. Hasn't had any luck to this stage. It's a good ball for de Robillard. It's one of the better cutting passes. Hatch has been limited in his impact down the left today. De Oliveira might have fallen a few yards short, but it was to the advantage of Wells. Like Alandra, it's so tight in there. As all the Spirit players converge upon the ball. Wells forces Marks to tip it over his crossbar. Not his favoured foot, Mason Wells, but he still got a pretty pure strike on that one. Can have another strike here, Mason Wells. He'll be up into double figures for the first time in his Sydney United career. And the ball in from Milicevic, lacking quality, catching practice for Marks. He's set to go equal top of the clean sheet list again. If he can hold out for the last 3 minutes or so. Spirit's defence anchored beautifully by its goalkeeper. Chris Marks has really had to work his way through the competition. And spent a bit of time down with St George City. He's been with Spirit for a number of years now. Part of their promotion campaign in 2022, and it's growing into one of the best goalkeepers across New South Wales. Wigan wanted a free kick, and it's another ball in easily claimed by Spirit's gloveman. Perfect in purple this afternoon, Chris Marks. I say that he's pulled out to evade Ollie Wigan. Silly and Manly Ringer Junior Ollie. It's been a long time at Northern Tigers. Still sitting top of League One, his old club. Had the switch after Spirit's promotion, 2023. De Oliveira. He's actually teammates with Bailey Rule, the Northern Tigers that season. De Robillard. Chabal. Milicevic. It's just all looking a little bit aimless for United at the moment. This is better. Hatch might go himself. He just blasted it across the face of goal. Smith with the initial clearance. De Oliveira. This time into Cornwall. Had his arms tucked firmly by his sides. Rule taking it on himself this time. Wider for Wells. And this time Williams. All three of the centre halves playing their part in the last minute or so for Spirit. And Conestabo's just happy to have it down the other end. Akubo in pursuit of Classic. Lone hand. United have 10 well-set Spirit players to try and break down. Only able to once at Christie Park. That was enough for a point that day. The nil is not going to be enough this afternoon. Chabal. De Oliveira. And again, that sums up his afternoon. Sums up Sydney United's attack today. Had a very good period either side of half-time, but weren't able to find the finishing touch. And Ollie Wiggins put a bit of a dampener on their enthusiasm as well, it must be said. Meanwhile, Spirit have continued to compete, continued to bring their energy and enthusiasm. The rare lapse in it in the final 15 minutes against St George City a couple of weeks ago. There's going to be no repeat today. 5 more minutes for United to try and claim something. Be nigh on a miracle from here. It's really intricate play, but there's just too many Spirit bodies to try and break down in that condensed an area. Perez's ball gets Spirit out of trouble and will allow them to eat precious seconds off the clock. So it's going to be 3 points dropped here for Sydney United ahead of that Waratah Cup final on Wednesday. Valentine Sports Park, 7 o'clock kickoff. You'll find the stream where you found this one on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. A reminder, if you're getting out to the game at Valentine Sports Park, to get in and buy your tickets beforehand. Just search Waratah Cup final tickets. They'll pop up in your search results. You can also find them, the links across the NPL New South Wales socials at NPL NSW, across Instagram, X, and on Facebook, NPL New South Wales. That all ahead of a big derby against Marconi down the road next weekend. It's a big week for Ante Juric. He's going to have to find a way to get some belief back into his side. There's a couple of clips he'll be able to cut up of this game where they have played some very nice football around the edge of the area, but that has been the missing piece. Almost as to demonstrate it. Gerald Lard's ball with a yard or two. Too much power on it for Alessandro Lacalandra. Even with his turn of pace, couldn't reel it in. Time the only thing between Spirit being right back in the chase for the premiership. Marks clears his lines again. Traveller back for Hatch. Chabal bombs it out of play. Even his touch just off by a fraction this afternoon, and that is enough in this competition, particularly when you're playing teams right up the top. There was some conversation about whether Spirit would be able to maintain the fire over the course of 30 games. They have proved over the last few weeks the title is well within their reach. Still the only major piece of silverware they've won, even through their promotion, is the 2022 Waratah Cup against this opposition. But they are a chance. Put them right up there with Rockdale and Marconi. Rule. Looking up nicely, Paley Rule runs into Grant Cornwall. How many times has that happened to him down his career? But Kubo trying to take this in his stride and really put the cherry on top. Well marshalled by Glassick. Glassick's got open pasture, but that's only because Spirit are sitting so deep. And he plays it straight to Jordan Perez. It might be 2-on-2 if Wigan plays this right. Good challenge from Vlastelica. Had to time it well as well. It's at a dangerous height for the defender. Trying to measure it for Wells. Perez has fresh enough legs to almost show him out of play. Ball to the top of the box, had no midfielders making up the ground. Chabal trying to correct the error. Perez, as strong as any player in the competition, wins his side the throw. David Perkovic checks his watch just as the referee Nathan Shakespeare does. One final update for you from around the grounds. And it has finished at Rockdale. Sutherland 2, Rockdale 1. Marconi still holding the goal to nil advantage over Sydney FC. So it looks as though they'll move level on points, but Spirit will be right up there with them. As Marks comes and claims bravely. Said in the pre-game that Spirit might be able to cut the lead at the top to 3. As it's unfolded, that is exactly what has happened on this Sunday afternoon. Another
score here at the
big club slain on their own turf by Spirit FC.
By 2 goals to nil.
If you were thinking about counting them out of the Premiership race, think again.
Rockdale by 2 goals to 1.
They sit just 3 points adrift from Rockdale and Marconi with 2 months of the season to play. What a fine campaign they put together. A first ever win at the Sydney United Sports Centre.
To win a historic 9th
Disappointing
Cup
for Sydney United, but they have history in their sights on Wednesday against the Northern Tigers.
At 7 p.m.
It's been a pleasure to bring you all the action from this round 21 encounter.
Next week,
this famous old ground, and Alex Bolshanov signing off for Football New South Wales.
For a home game back here.
With the final score, Sydney United 0, Spirit FC 2.
Thank you so much for your attendance this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.